Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. If I'm a new face to you, my name is Lauren, and today I'm going to be reviewing Mortgage of Convenience by Danny McLean. Alright, so before I even start the review, I wanted to say thank you to Victory Editing for allowing me to be an early reader. All opinions expressed in this review are my own. Mortgage of Convenience by Danny McLean comes out on February 27th, 2024. So just starting off this review, I wanted to quickly say I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. And also it has 3 out of 5 spicy little peppers. I mean, it's not like over the top crazy, but it's like very spicy. So do with that what you will. So Danny McLean is a bi/non-binary author from Australia who likes to write fun romance books that have an open bedroom door policy. Danny loves to write romance stories that will make you kick your feet in the air and will take your heart on an adventure. Along with Mortgage of Convenience, Danny McLean has also written the movie magic novellas, which include 5 novellas that feature all of our favorite tropes. Okay, now getting into the synopsis. What is this book even about? Like a lot of my other romance books that I've been reading lately, Mortgage of Convenience starts with our main female character, B, running away from the big city that she's lived in for the past several years and fleeing back to her hometown. It's kind of like a medium-sized, not like small town, but like Rome, Kentucky. Don't think that. It's more like a medium-sized town. And she's just looking for comfort as she comes back to town and tries to figure out what the heck she's gonna do with her life. She works as a ghostwriter. She's written lots of books for people, memoirs and whatnot, but she decides, it's finally time for me to write my own book, but she's really hesitant about it. So her best friend Morgan decides to get her tipsy over FaceTime one night and encourages her to submit this idea to the publisher that she works with. So B flees. The publisher says yes to her book idea. But now she's really worried that she's wrecked her own career and that, if she's not able to publish her own book, either it's going to really destroy her or she's not going to be able to get back into ghostwriting. But the whole premise of this character journey for B throughout the book is she doesn't want to hide who she is anymore, and she's wanting to become more confident. Now, Sebastian, he is a hardworking guy who is looking to turn his life around after years of partying and drinking and waking up with strangers in his bed. He's wanting to make something of himself and settle down. So for the past 6 years, Sebastian has been working to buy a house. He's been working his silly dead-end job that he does not like. You know what? It's paying the bills. And then on the weekends, he bartends at a little spicy club where he used to dance at, but now he is a bartender. He's like 36 or something like that, and he's really afraid that he has missed his chance to settle down and have a family and start a life that way. But he's like, even if I can't have that, I want to have a place of my own. The bank, for some reason, won't allow him to buy his house because of some shortcomings with the financial aspect of the house. Luckily, the first night B came back into town, she spent the night over at her brother Aiden's house. And Aiden happens to be Sebastian's best friend, and Sebastian was also spending the night at Aiden's. Aiden, being a good big brother, needs Sebastian to drive B home, but he has to make a stop along the way first to stop at his bank and talk about the house stuff. And it's lucky B is there with him because she hears about this little financial bump in the road for him. And she goes, hey, you know what? I'm kind of like having a midlife or a mid-quarter life crisis right now. I'll go ahead and, do half of it. We'll go halvesies and we'll both have a house because I was kind of wondering where I was going to stay anyways. So they buy a house. Okay, so they end up buying Sebastian's dream house. It's very cute, very quaint, but it needs a lot of work, but that doesn't scare Sebastian off, and B's game for it. We come to learn that B's actually had a crush on Sebastian for 10 or 15 years. Aiden and Sebastian have been friends for a very long time. She's had a crush on him essentially the whole time. So Aiden knows, and he's kind of raising eyebrows and winking. she isn't wanting to act on it. After a few weeks of getting readjusted and working on her own book, like first draft, and getting reacquainted with her old hometown, B is starting to see this whole transition more as a blessing. And she takes the opportunity to learn about herself and grow. It also really helps whenever she meets her new friend, Casey. I think in my head I said Cassie, who likes to read as much as she does, like romances. She likes matcha or chais and just very, just a chill person. And so B and Sebastian start to grow closer to each other, and B learns that she doesn't need to be who everybody expects her to be. Morgan has tried to make her into a carbon copy of herself, into this party girl and who complains about work, all of this, goes out constantly, drinks constantly, and B is going, I don't think that's me. I don't want to put up this face anymore for you to please you. Sebastian shows her that being herself is 1,000,000 times more fun. 4 stars out of 5 and 3 spices. So let's get into what I really liked about this book. Besides the cover, which is obviously perfect, and the overall vibes of the book, which were, once again, perfect, this was a really great romance book because it was just fun to read, point blank. It also immediately got bonus points from me because it's a dual POV book, which is just something I prefer in my romances. And there is a content warning at the beginning of the book telling you what it's going to be about, which we love, obviously, because it's just nice to know what you're going to encounter before you start reading the book. It's kind of like a, hey, heads up, don't flip out. A lot of books could use that. But first off, this book is an amazing example of bisexual representation. Sebastian talks repeatedly about his journey of accepting his sexuality and not feeling queer enough, which is something that a lot of bi people do experience in real life. This is because, he's attracted to men, but he is not looking for a relationship with them. He's looking for a relationship more with women. So he's just attracted to men sexually. It accurately depicts what happens in real life in the queer community, especially for people who identify as bisexual, because they often don't feel bisexual enough or queer enough. A lot of books that feature bisexual characters struggle with that. And there's no language that puts Seb down for this preference, and there's no shaming of it, which is also something that is very special to this book because that happens in a lot of other books that I've read with bi main characters. So the club where he bartends at, it is queer, it's spicy, and it is just giving everything that I need a bar club to give, honestly. This place that is loving and open and accepting and just a safe space in general, I need this to exist in real life. So there's dance rooms in the back, but none of it gave weird vibes. And like little teaser, so Sebastian and B, there we go, I remember her name, B have like their first like little steamy, because it's not spicy, they have like their little steamy moment in that dance room. Now, another big part of this book that was handled just very gracefully was the whole topic of sobriety. And it wasn't, I was an alcoholic and I'm recovering and so I have to be sober for that. It was just humans, people, adults who are choosing not to drink alcohol and why people might be choosing that. So B is going into a downward spiral with her friendship with Morgan because Morgan is horrible. Sebastian's there to give words of advice and help and just be somebody that she can talk to about the feelings that are coming up for her. Like, does she ever hang out with Morgan when drinking is not involved? Does Morgan ever invite her to hang out if drinking's not involved? Does she even like drinking? Does she like the way that it makes her feel in the moment or the next day? And Sebastian has chosen to be sober. But most importantly, he doesn't judge others for drinking. Like, he's a bartender, for goodness sake. Like, he is very, like, the most non-judgmental person. B's new friend Cassie and Sebastian, they provide the safe space for B to start answering these questions about who she is and how she wants to move forward in her life. And they also allow her to become comfortable and to have these discussions and just provide a safe space for her to do that moving forward. And this is like a really sensitive area for a lot of people. Normalizing sobriety and choosing not to drink alcohol is really important. And I think Mortgage of Convenience and Danny McLean just handled all of that very gracefully. Now, friend breakups. So as I've hinted, Morgan is a friend. Honestly, like, horrible. B has to learn that just because you were best friends in high school doesn't mean that you need to hold hands and die together in the same nursing home, like, you know, Notebook style. Like, sometimes you outgrow your friends, and that's okay. That's part of being a person, a human. Throughout this book, we watch as B realizes that this friendship is no longer serving her or bringing her joy, or that actually Morgan is bringing toxicity into her life. So all Morgan wants to do is drink and watch trash TV and talk trash and just overall not be a very positive, good person to have in your life. Oh my God. And like, at one point, she and B are at a club dancing, and she like manipulates B into thinking that some girls over there are making fun of the way that B's dancing and how she looks, and they're laughing at her, and oh my God, they took a picture of her to make fun of them. So B kind of freaks out. Morgan ditches her to go dance with the guy, which, like, you don't leave your friend by themselves. Okay. Rule number 1, you stay together. But whatever. And so B goes into the bathroom and she confronts this girl, which, because she's drunk, she does that, and that's not who she is in real life. She confronts this girl and the girl's like, what? Why would we do that? I have no idea what you're talking about. And B realizes that Morgan just like lied to her to make her feel bad, essentially, so that she could kind of not like take advantage of her, but like use that to her benefit. Kind of the climax of the book is when we see B go confront Morgan and officially break up with her. And once again, Morgan is horrible, and she just pulls all of this narcissistic crap out, saying, oh, well, you know, sorry, I'm such a bad friend. You know, like having, I think we all kind of know at this point what that tone sounds like and what those phrases are. So she tries all of that on B, but B remains like very steadfast, and it's handled really well. Because let's be honest, these friendship breakups are sometimes harder than like real relationship breakups. Also, all of the feelings that are worked through when you go through a friendship breakup and realizing why you need to, that whole inner monologue happened, and we got to see that from B's perspective. And it allowed us to see how she was handling it in a healthy and respectful way, so that she wasn't talking trash to Morgan or being mean or hateful, and just coming from a place of, I think this is best for both of us right now. Okay, now on to the spice. Please read, you know, that content warning in the book, like actually like read it at the first part of the book, because that does make a difference. Just like knowing what'll happen makes a difference. And it's not anything crazy. It's not like, oh my God, it's just good to know going forward. But so Sebastian is tattooed. He's a little bit older. There's like 8-year age gap, and he's bearded, and he is a plant dad. Once he moves into the house, it's like his brain gets triggered into, we're gonna fill this house with plants. And like, he says that he wants his like partner, like his life partner that he's going to be with, he just wants to worship her. So, I mean, then at a certain point, he says that he wants to worship B, and that part, oh my gosh, like spicy and romantic. Ooh, B, B is pretty spicy herself. I think there's like a quote, I think it was in the dedication in, what was it? King of Wrath, King of Pride. I think it was in the King of Pride one, where she says in the dedication, like, to all of those who know, like, the quietest ones are like the spiciest. So that kind of is very true for B. Let's just stop there. It's also, all of it's done in a very like consensual, safe, understanding way. And all of the spicy scenes used real sex language, real sex words, which at least for me is very important, preferred, because it allows for clear understanding and acceptance to come from that. So it's not any of these fluffy words. I've kind of talked about this in the past where, you know, like the language that's like frilly and silly and doesn't actually say anything. Think about like Sarah J. Maas and her books and those spicy scenes, especially in A Court of Mist and Fury. Like, nothing is actually described. Truly, like, no sex words happen, but if you do use like actual sex words, it makes it not as awkward for people to have conversations in the future, I think. Okay, so you might think, okay, it's just a romance book. I kind of get the idea. There's so much more to these characters. Like, there's a whole backstory with Sebastian where his mother, when he was like 9 or 10, his mother was in an, how do I want to say it? In like escalating abusive marriage that she needed to get out of, and it was to Sebastian's father. And so she had to get out. He was raised by a single mother, and he was afraid that he was going to be, I guess it was like verbally abusive, not physically abusive. I wanted to clear that up. But it was escalating to where it could become physically abusive. And so she got out of it. But Sebastian's afraid that he is going to turn into his dad, that he has like that bad seed somewhere in him, and he's determined to not do that. He's trying to create the life that he wished he had had, be the father that, you know, he wished he had had, and be a better man than his father. And so that fear is deeply rooted into Sebastian, and you get to see that little that string throughout the whole book and throughout his inner monologues and his chapters. And it's really amazing to watch that growth. B is the baby of her family by 8 years. So, like, surprise child. She felt as if she had to follow in her brother's perfect footsteps, do what was expected of her, be perfect, you know, not step on anybody's toes, not stray off the path, do exactly what she thought people wanted from her or expected from her. This is shown throughout the book by B wanting to at first hide her and Sebastian's relationship from her brother Aiden, and at the end she and Aiden have like a heart-to-heart talk, and she gets a lot of things out in the open, and she goes, oh, by the way, I'm like in love with your best friend. And seeing that journey of her coming out of her shell and accepting who she is and that confidence, it was, I don't really know how to describe it. It was very enjoyable and kind of motivating in a way too. Okay, so to wrap up this book, it was a really good romance book to read because it was fun, it was spicy, and it was a very quick read for me. And it's a wonderful romance book to read if you're looking for something fun and touches on deep subjects but doesn't go like heavy deep into them. Keep that in mind if that's kind of what you're looking for. Maybe check out this book. And once again, I just wanted to say thank you to Victory Editing for allowing me to be an early reader of this book. All opinions that were expressed throughout this review were my own. And as a reminder, Mortgage of Convenience by Danny McLean comes out on February 27th, 2024. So grab your copy. Thank you so much for watching this review of Mortgage of Convenience. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. And if you're looking for more bookish content, I post a video every Friday, so consider subscribing so you don't miss out. I will see you guys next time, and I'll keep freaking doing this, and I'll keep reading more romances as we move forward, right? Like, yeah, that's what happens. All right.